Okay, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a breakdown on this GBP JPY trade. You can see it's currently playing out at the moment, and I'm just going to do a pre-breakdown because I'm pretty confident this is going to hit. To be honest, whenever a trade takes off like this from one of my zones, especially when it's a bottom zone like this, it almost never loses. So I'm going to do a breakdown on this. Bull target is at a 1 to 10, and TP1 is at the first high for about a 1 to 5.4. Alright, so why did I actually take this trade and why is it valid? And on top of that, why am I very confident this is going to hit? Almost 100% certain. The basis of this trade is of course that we're in an uptrend, high highs and lower lows. This is 1 AM. I was actually late for this trade. Of course, I'm living in Malaysia right now, so it's not actually 1 AM. It was about 9 AM and I missed the normal entry. So I actually ended up getting in about here, but I'm just going to go through this as if I took the correct entry. So the correct entry, of course, is on this green candle close. Tapped our zone very nicely, closed rejecting, and it was green. Of course, we entered on the first green candle to close in our direction. So with that being said, our zone, it was a nice untapped zone. Now the reason this one is so good is because it's at the bottom of the move that originally started this push to the upside. So of course, if institutions, banks, whatever you want to call them, were initially buying aggressively from this place, they're going to want to do the same thing again. Now of course they have multiple different pushes to the upside. Consolidate, build up more orders, they go again. Consolidate, build up more orders, they move again. Any of these can hit really as normal supply and demand from time to time, but they don't really have a good edge over time. The ones with liquidity though are the ones that are going to hit. So for us, this was our liquidity in front of the zone. Of course, I trade liquidity, supply and demand. If any of you guys are new to the channel, I'll have a video pop up here which will explain the whole strategy if you want to go and check that out. So the reason this was valid is because of course, this liquidity, which has to be within 30 pips from our zone. Here you can see it's about 20 pips, making it a valid trade. The liquidity has to take out its own high, as you guys will know if you watched my whole tutorial on this. Here you can see that was its own high that it made, and it took it out nicely. So there was actually a point that could have been liquidity all the way at the start over here. However, it was too far away from the zone. If I just measure it, about 42 pips, which would have made it invalid. And this would have just been normal supply and demand until we had these lows to take out. So at this point, we've come all the way down here. You can see we almost form sort of a triple bottom structure, more of a double bottom, and we push up to the upside quite strong. A lot of people might be taking this as the higher high, lower low trade to the upside. However, for us, that of course just made good liquidity, and it was the confidence that allowed us to take this trade because now there's liquidity to take out. People might have their stop losses under here, they're taking it back to the upside, and they've got in too early pretty much. There were a few other lows that got created, and they all took out their own highs. There's one right here, and it took out its own high at the top. There was another low right here, took out its own high up here. Same over here, we had this small little structure, and it took out its own high again to the left. So multiple times, it's shown us that the direction it really wants to go is bullish, taking out its own high. And then the last good sign that we see from this is that it comes directly to our zone without making higher highs and lower lows and breaking out consistently. It just comes directly here. Essentially, the fact that it's come straight to our zone with a purpose shows us that it's not forming a continual high, high, low, low structure, indicating that we're bearish. It's just coming straight to our zone on purpose to react from it and to go bullish. So they'll be looking for this area for buys. The last thing, of course, we need is a good reaction to not close in the zone. And we enter on the first candle that closes in our direction, so a green candle. The first one that tapped happened to be green on this trade, so that was the correct entry. Now, something I want to show you guys on the internal structure on this, which is very important to realize, is that at the moment we're currently repeating the same move over and over again, and it's important to look to the left to see what's actually happening in the markets. So right here you can see I had this green line on as a target for a long time. I believe it was a daily gap fill or weekly gap fill from 2015, right? We're at new highs since 2015 or close to them. We perfectly reached them and we made a double top and we pushed back downwards. Now a lot of people will be thinking, okay, well now surely we're going to be bearish all the way to the bottom for long term, but that's not the case. If you look to the left, the markets are just repeating themselves. So we have plenty of times here where I did the same thing, right? We're in a strong uptrend and we form a double top. This one, it wasn't exactly in line, it's still a double top though, and then we crash downwards. We retrace about this far. Okay, now it's a good price for institutions to start buying again, putting in orders to move us to the upside. If you look back here, the same thing happened. This was our higher high, we double topped, we retraced around this amount, and then that was a good price. Institutions, banks, they start getting in again, they push us to the upside. So the same thing is repeating again and again. If I switch to the 4 hour, you'll be able to see this a bit more clearly. Push up, retrace, double top, push up, retrace, double top, retrace, push up. So the same thing's just repeating itself. And of course, we want to be on the right side of the markets while that's happening. We've got our internal structure, which was showing liquidity breaking its own highs. We've got coming directly to the zone, and the fact that our untapped zone is at the bottom of the move. So all this stuff didn't close in the zone. All this stuff comes together, of course, to form the edge with this strategy. The overall structure is in our favor. It's a very strong zone. That allows us to take, of course, high risk to reward. I'll update you guys when this trade is actually played out, and we'll see what the result was. Alright, so it's safe to say the trade is played out. It's been about 1 week since I hit this TP now. So you'll see right here, I'd actually closed at about a 1 to 9.3. If I'm up 9.3%, there's no point messing around. When it's doing this consolidation, 3 rejections right next to TP. And even though it still would have played out anyway, that's the decision that I made in the moment. For this trade, if any of you guys are wondering, of course, I did put this in the Discord as usual. I have a picture pop up to show the entry. So all of us also took this trade. Now, the overall breakdown, of course, I pretty much already did before this even played out. But in terms of the actual zone, you can see we've come all the way back to it and it's still holding. So I just wanted to highlight that, show how powerful these zones actually are. So it's still holding, and I'm pretty much expecting now for us to take out the overall target of this highs. The reason for that being, see, the first time we reacted and we came up here before stopping. The second time, you would expect this of a retest that is going to complete the full move. You can see it tapped here and it came all the way up this high before stopping, so it was even more powerful than the first time we tapped. So essentially right now, I'm just expecting us to continue up to take out the overall highs and the full target. Now, if you look at this one, when it reached here, it actually needed a big retracement before continuing. This one is retraced only this far as of the time being, and it looks like that could be all it needs before going to the upside. So we'll see what's happening with that one. Now, I do actually have potentially a demand zone right here if we do take out highs with this liquidity. More or less, that's it for this trade. I broke down the whole thing. So I'm just going to quickly go on to UJ, because if you guys are subscribed to me, you'll see on the community tab, I posted these 2 wins. So we hit 2 back-to-back 1-3s in a row. So I might as well break these down for you guys who are not in the Discord, so you can learn a bit more about the strategy and see some recent trades that just played out. With these 2 right here, it was very simple. If I zoom out and look at the overall structure, you can see we're in a very large consolidation for a long time. We weren't moving. We had 1 win from a re-entry here and about 3 losses. So although one of them was 0.25% risk, so it wasn't that much. You can see, of course, this was pretty much break even while we're in the consolidation. We broke out to the upside, very big breakout. Now this is the power of trend. As soon as this happened, of course we have demands on the table. With us being in trend, the power, you'll be able to see right here, pretty much all trades have a way higher probability of winning. So I look at this one up close, what was the structure that we were seeing? So this was a 1 candle liquidity zone. The requirements for a 1 candle liquidity is that it has to form an obvious demand zone, so we actually have enough liquidity to use for people who might get in here. Now in the live markets, this candle might have been rejecting the zone, faking a lot of people in. I can't actually remember exactly how it played out, but that's the case with 1 candle liquidities. Essentially, it's not a bad thing, it just means that there is less liquidity because it's only 1 candle. So we have to be more cautious, and it has to make a strong zone which can give us more liquidity from people entering. We had that and we got the green close. See right here, we hit our 1-3 pretty much perfectly before it retraced a little bit further. So that was nice for that one. We pushed up to the upside again. And then up here, what we can see, it was another 1 candle liquidity. So essentially it was just copying the same move we did last time. This time though, we had a way bigger rejection. Now, because the rejection was so large, I actually entered flip on this second candle. I waited for a bottom wick and entered flip. So it's about here on the second candle when it flipped to green. A lot of people in the Discord, they actually took the green close entry, which is the standard entry. So they hit 1-3 a lot quicker, all the way up here. Before this big drop actually happened, which if any of you guys were confused, that was Bank of Japan intervention. So essentially JPY is getting extremely weak. This is pretty much the all-time highs UJ has been since 1990s or something. So the Bank of Japan is intervening, try and make it better for the currency. That's what these big random drops are, even though there was no news happening. Now, if you guys check down here on TradingView, you can see there's often just some pretty much basic news, and that's where you can read stuff like this. Also, if you go to different tabs on Forex Factory, you'll be able to see some news events that aren't actual scheduled news that play out. That's what happened here. You can see, however, it's pretty much just ended up helping our buyers even more. More buyers have come into the market and we've gone even higher. That's what happened for us. Now, after this, it dropped down very quickly. Came up to about here. After this, I went to break even just to be safe, because when there's bank intervention happening, you want to be secure. Anything can happen. So I went to break even after this. Thankfully, it never came back down, and so we hit the full 1-3 on that. Now, if you look close, there's actually another trade that might play out. Took out this high to the left, made liquidity, and this liquidity is a lot more significant. It's more than 1 candle. It's a pretty obvious low in front of the zone, so we could be getting 3 1-3s in a row. That's very nice. Back to back to back on UJ, 9% total. So we'll see what happens with that one. At the moment, it's looking like that could definitely play out in our favor. So yeah, overall, a very nice 2 weeks in the markets. And if you guys are interested, as usual, you can join the Discord, link in the description. We take all these trades in there, webinars, daily forecasts. You can ask me any questions you have and just overall learn the strategy a lot more in depth than you would from the YouTube videos. So that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.